Hello and welcome to a very special Lions Lounge. It's the channel's 1 year anniversary. I'm at the Den with my all-time favourite hero, honestly. Jimmy Savile couldn't have even sorted that one for you. Alex, cheers mate, thanks so much. Big thanks to Millwall Football Club and Billy Taylor especially for sorting this out. Unbelievable for me, this is a major scoop. Good to have you here.
No, it's great to be here, mate. It's good. It's always good to come back to the Den. You always get a nice welcome.
Falkirk to Millwall.
Yeah.
Why Millwall? Was there other interest?
No, to be honest with you, there was a couple of Millwall wanted me to re-sign, and I think it was Jimmy Nicholl who came down when I was leaving in Millwall. He offered us an extra 50 quid a week, so I told him where to go with that. So that never materialised. But I always wanted to have a go down in England, and I think when you think there's 92 teams to pick, I think I probably got the right one to start me off, because the way I was and living my life now, and the Millwall kind of following, it was just ideal for me.
Yeah. So you came in, Bruce Rioch signed you.
Yeah.
That was he didn't last long here, but he
I've
made
got
a good move with you.
In all honesty, I actually really like Bruce. The thing about Bruce was he was a disciplinarian, and they had a few kind of wild chills here, you know, the Hurlock and Horney and guys like that. So, you know, Rhino. So
he's still up in the bar, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I know. I think he's eating the bar, isn't he? So the thing is about Bruce was that I actually liked what he was trying to stand for. I didn't quite appreciate it at the time, but he was very meticulous in all his detail and things, and I was grateful for the opportunity to come down here. And as you said, we got to the playoffs in the first year.
Yeah.
There were some right good players in that team, and unfortunately it never quite happened the following year.
Yeah. Replaced by Big Mick McCarthy. What was he like, Big Mick? He's still in football,
Yeah.
Big Mick.
He's a great lad, Mick. I kind of struggled initially when Mick got it, because I was pals with Mick, you know, we used to have a few pints and things, and then all of a sudden he became my boss, and at the age I was at, I was only a boy, and I found it difficult, one of my mates telling us what to do, and it was a wee bit of a kind of rocky start for us.
Yeah.
And I have to say, he handled it brilliantly. I'll never forget the time he said to me, I want you to play right midfield. I told him where to go. Don't take a fly, take yourself right. and he went, is that right? He said, well, no, what you do then? You're on the bench. And I think for about 7 games I was on the bench.
Oh, really?
Yeah, honestly. It was the only time I was ever out of the team at Millwall. And he brought me back at right midfield. He says, do you want to play right midfield this weekend? I says, well, of course I do, because I was sitting in Mars for weeks on end.
Yeah.
And I scored 2 gols. And it was a great lesson to me. It was like, listen, whenever you're asked to play, you play. And that's what I did. So it was a good learning curve for me with Mick.
Talking to your goals at the Den.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not just at the Den anyway. I remember an hat-trick up at Notts County. I never saw you score a tap-in. So he's got some unbelievable goals for us.
I remember scoring a goal up there against Charlton. Jamie Morale hit it across the goal, and I managed to get a nick, and it just kind of deflected it in. And he tried to steal the goal off us.
Who, Morley?
Yeah, it's slippery. So. But no, the thing is, but there's a good story behind the Den. Yeah, sorry, the hat-trick at Notts County.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, and I think if you check the records, it was around about Christmas time.
Right.
And we went up there and we scored a hat-trick. And we had a party in Uptown. Big Mick had organised it in a hotel.
You liked a party, didn't you?
Yeah, very much so. And I dressed up as a bird. I had a mini skirt on, red high heels, boob tube and all that on, right? And I've pitched up on the back of this hat-trick. So we were a wee bit worse for wear, and there was a party just along in one of the estates we were invited to after that party. So it was about 2:30 in the Sunday morning, and we were going past Thomas à Becket.
Yeah.
And there was no right turn there. I don't know if it's still the same now. Anyway, I said to my missus, just go round. And the old bill pull was up, right? So I get out of the car, and the copper on the passenger side said to me, can you get back in your car, madam? Because I had the wig and all on, right? So anyway, I went, leave it out, geezer. You should have seen his face, because he thought I was a bird, right? And it turns out they were Millwall fans, and the 2 geezers were in tears because they were praising me in the afternoon. Here I was dressed up as a bird. It was just you couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up.
It was another man who liked to drink in our team, Thatcher. Talk to me about Thatcher. I've heard so many stories on Scratch.
Yeah, Ben was a lovely lad. He used to take me back. I didn't drive. Unfortunately, I lost my licence. And he used to take me back to Brands Hatch. And it was a place called Horton Kirby.
Yeah, I know.
And he used to drive from the top of the hill all the way down the hill, and he'd do a handbrake turn as you was going right, and you'd be doing like a 3 pirouette round, and then he would take me home. But he was insane, the guy. He was off his seat, but he was a lovely. At that time, you'd Ben, Hurlock, Rhino, Gavin Maguire, Vanden Howe, You know, it was just a team. Andy Roberts, just guys that could, you know, fight for the cause. It was a great place to play football.
One player I want to ask you about, just from my own personal thing, E.T. Etienne Verveer.
Yeah,
what was he about? I can't find him anywhere, by the way.
No, he's probably the king of Zamunda now, but he was a great lad. He was a great guy, you know. We used to we have a few nights out, and we'd phone him at 2 and 3 in the morning, just annoy him. But he was a good footballer, E.T. Very fit guy and technically good. But I don't think anyone's ever heard of him.
No, it's like sort of.
You should start a campaign.
Obscure players that only ever play for Millwall, like Christoph Kinno was another one. I've got some great stories on him a little bit after your time. What was it like on a Saturday, a typical Mick McCarthy? What was it like in the changing room? Who was where? Who was buzzy? Who was doing what?
Well, do you know the good thing about Mick? I watched Mick playing as a player, obviously, at Republic Island, and they were a bit direct but when his teams were they're really passing team. It was a good brand of football that he was playing, and the one good thing about Mick is he was a purist. He wanted to play the game the right manner, but he also wanted it done properly. So that's the reason why he's been in management so long. I can't speak highly enough about Big Mick.
He's been in there a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say, you come in under Rioch and then McCarthy came in and replaced him. You was also here at the transition between the old den and the new.
Yeah.
What was that like for you coming from, I mean, we left the old den when I was 13.
Yeah.
And it used to scare the shit out of me, just going, even though I was a Millwall fan. What was it like, the transition, the times around the club? What was it like making the switch over?
Yeah, but listen, see my first day coming down, I'd left Falkirk. It was a small club in Scotland. And to be fair, the stadium at was called Brockville. It was falling to bits. It was a disgrace. And then I came to Millwall and I thought I may as well go back to Falkirk, but this place is a shithole. But I thought, why am I? Because I had visions of this big club. It just came out of the Division 1, which was effectively top flight. And then I'm driving into this place. And I'm thinking, oh, I've got this all wrong here. But I grew to love it. It was so intimidating. And I was talking about a guy up here. The head of security here used to be a guy called Ken Chapman. Right. He worked for the chief superintendent, Ken Chapman. And he had his big stick, and he had the hat and the brass, and he looked top man. And he used to come in and warn all the players at the den. He'd go, "Do not incite trouble. Whatever you do not incite trouble." And he'd come over and go, "If you incite trouble, we're arresting you to me every game." And every time I'd score a goal, I'd be going, "Get up!" to the opposition fans. And you know that man, every time I come back here, he's still here. I think he's still part-time security, part of the infrastructure. And every time I see him, he gives me a lovely big cuddle. And that's going back nearly 27 years. That guy used to warn me every home game, don't cause trouble.
I remember when you first come, so don't get nicked today, that's the first thing.
Yeah.
But you scored, I think it was 5 goals in your first 5 home games, wasn't it? When you first come to the old den.
Yeah, but that was partly because of the drink we were getting in the Gym Palace down the Old Ken Road. But the thing is, it was I got off to a really good start. And the thing is, as I said to you, we had guys like Teddy, we had Les Briley, Woods, McCleary, Dowser, we Alan Dowser, Hornley. It was the right good team at the time with Jimmy Carter on the right, O'Callaghan, and then with Teddy and Malcolm Allen. We had a right good team.
So, talking about the nights out and the booze, I don't want to push it too much, but I did hear, for a good source, that you kept Regal Sports in Nelton. In good, used to go there every before training, then you pick up a new pair of boots.
Well, one of the things that I think it might have been Mick introduced, that you had to wash your own kit. So they gave you a couple of sets of kit at the start of the year, and sometimes they were so. In the morning, you obviously didn't have your training kit with you, so you end up having to go in there and buy a new set of training kit, new boots, just to pick you up at training. But listen, they were a bit. You couldn't get away with that stuff now. You couldn't go. And listen, it's been a long time since I've been running straight and narrow for 18 years now. So thankfully, I've managed to kind of see the light and appreciate the football for what it is now.
Yeah. Another big time for me personally as well when you were at the cup run in '95.
Yeah, that's
right. Talk us through that. We remember that, the good times of that. I've interviewed Mark.
Who did we beat? We beat obviously Arsenal, didn't we?
And then Chelsea on penalties.
Yeah, Chelsea.
Both went to replays, both away from home.
Yeah. Well, the Arsenal game was brilliant. Yeah, that was unbelievable because we came here. I think we drew here, and then we went back over there, and then obviously Birdie and I think young Kennedy came into the zone then, and that really catapulted him into the public domain. And the very last kick of the ball, Ian Wright tried to turn blind, and I thought, oi, I've got him here. And I had a perception of Wright as a bit flash. I thought, I'm going to have him in 2 here. And I turned him and I just nailed him. And he's got up and he's wanting to fight with us, and the referee's blowing the final whistle. We're exchanging a few pleasantries, and I'm telling him, do one right. And I went to walk into the players' lounge afterwards, and just from behind the door, right, he's trying to lay one on my chin, right?
Is he really?
Yeah, and it all kicked off and all that, right? So I ended up telling them what to do with their players' lounge. And this is a true story. About 4 or 5 years ago, Ian Wright, Cal Robinson, who was working at MK Dons, come up to me and he says to us, he says, "I'm getting a new striker coach in." I said, "All right, lovely, who's that then?" He went, "Ian Wright." I went, "You might want to rethink that. The last time I seen Wright, you were running all 7 bells out each
You should have gone, get him in and waited behind the door for him.
No, because
that's for 20 years ago.
Can I just tell you something, by the way? I never meet a nicer guy in football. He's a Millwall supporter.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I'm trying to get hold of him actually.
Yeah, he's a great lad.
Yeah. So, we're at the Den, obviously, for those who can't see maybe on my camera. Talk us through some of your best times here, your best goals, things that stick out in your mind.
Oh, listen, there's been so many, and it's not really just one individual. We just had some really good times here. You know, I loved it. I loved it when the full houses. We were talking about when Chelsea and Arsenal came here, and it's pretty much full. The atmosphere is just special. I always said that I wish that Millwall would get back to the Premier League. Can you imagine this place with all these superstars? They just wouldn't cope.
We'd settle for the Championship in a minute.
Yeah, I understand that, but just can you imagine the actual, if you could get back up to that level of football, you would sell this out on a regular basis, and I just don't think the Premier League could cope with the Millwall
way
machine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was, you left the club eventually, went on to Sunderland.
Yeah.
Good dough. Was that a choice that you made yourself, or was that something that was sort of put upon you?
I see, if I'm honest, there was over the time that I was here, the 6 years, there was times that I wanted to leave because I wanted to try my time up.
Of course.
And then they were selling guys like Ben, John Goodwin, Andy Roberts, Casey went. So there was loads of guys that were good, and I just felt it had become a selling club, and I wanted to go and try and earn a few quid, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway. And then I went to Sunderland, which was great, because I was telling the boy earlier on that I moved to Sunderland, but in my mind I'm thinking I'm 2.5 hours from Glasgow, I can go up and watch Rangers whenever I want.
Yeah.
So, but that worked out a brilliant move for us, because I kind of get my lifestyle sorted up there, and I moved again. It was a transition from Roker to the Stadium of Light, and from going from 18 to 20,000, we were playing in front of 50,000. It was just unbelievable. It was a great time. We were top 7 in the Premiership. It was good stuff.
Talking, you touched on it, Casey Keller. What was he like as a character around the club? And
Casey was a very quiet guy. He done it about his business, very professional. I think he was going to do a masters in business management or something. So he didn't quite fit into the madness that was going round about him. But I admire him for what he did, and he was a model professional.
Talking about the madness and nights out, what about, you've got any like changing room or training ground stories that stick out in your mind? Can you give us one about dropping away in the shit?
Well, no, listen. I remember taking Teddy Sheringham up to an Old Firm game.
Yeah.
And we were up there, and it was a European city of culture in Glasgow. So the nightclubs were shutting at 6 and 7 in the morning, so it was a bit messy. And I took Sheringham up there, and without going into too much details, we went to Rangers won the cup final, and then we went back to the after party. And in these days, when you missed your flight, it was none of this computer stuff, we'll just book another one, so it was a standby. And Big Teddy was first up, and he says, we're looking for 2 flights to London. And I'm thinking to myself, it's Bruce Rioch, so you didn't want to be late, you know what I mean, you knew you were in for trouble. So anyway, Big Teddy's there now, and she went, I've only got 1 flight, and he went, Teddy Sheringham. So I went, cheers, yeah. So anyway, a long story short, I pitched up at 12:30 for training, and it was at Eltham. And it was a little pavilion. As I'm walking around, I seen all the players, and they're sitting there in their training gear, and none of them are sweating. And I'm thinking, my God, there's something right here. Because I was expecting to see them training.
Yeah.
And as I walked in, Mick McCarthy grabbed me by the throat. And he went, I was at the effing game, and I was here in time. And I went, yeah, I know, Mick, but your mum get fucked. Excuse me.
That's all right. Unbelievable, mate. Thanks so much for doing it. Appreciate it.
Top
Nice one.
man.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.